Now, in case y'all don't know who this person is on your screen, this is Bob Dylan, world-renowned singer and entertainer. Never listened to any of his music, but I have heard of him. Well, now it has some interesting news has come out about him. And I wonder how mainstream media is going to handle it, if they're going to handle it at all, especially considering what they did with Bill Cosby. So now, according to NBCnews.com, it says Bob Dylan is sued for allegedly drugging and sexually assaulting a 12-year-old back in 1965. Now, what makes his situation worse than Cosby is the fact that this person that is suing him for alleged drugging and sexually assaulting was a minor at the time. Bob Dylan was definitely not a minor at that time. He was definitely an adult, a young adult, but an adult nonetheless. He was over the age of 18. And this is back in 1965. You know, around the time that's, maybe not that far back, but in a period where a lot of these so-called Cosby accusers claim that he did things to them. And what's so crazy is a person like a Bob Dylan could easily get away with something like this. I mean, look at Elvis Presley. He married his wife or started messing with her when she was a minor, but no one batted an eye at it, and then got married to her almost immediately. So, like I said, Bob Dylan and Elvis and the rest could get away with something like that. Bill Cosby gets accused and he gets thrown through the ringer and under the bus. And I wouldn't say under the rug, because that would mean to not acknowledge it at all. This right here will get thrown under the rug. But I'm going to go ahead and read this article and see what other details they're going to talk about. Iconic singer-songwriter Bob Dylan has been accused of drugging and sexually assaulting a 12-year-old girl in 1965 when he was in his mid-20s, according to a lawsuit filed last week in New York. According to the suit, which was filed in state Supreme Court on Friday, Dylan befriended the girl identified only as JC in May 1965. Dylan, now 80, is alleged to have established an emotional connection with JC to lower her inhibitions with the object of sexually abusing her, which he did. The suit also alleges that Dylan used drugs, alcohol, and threats of physical violence, leaving her emotionally scarred and psychologically damaged to this day. Let me pause right there. All of this stuff right here that I'm reading is like gold, not in a good way, but gold meaning a lot of the stuff that he's being accused of is the same thing that these so-called Cosby accusers accused him of, except for the physical violence part. Now, I wonder, are the same people that came after Bill Cosby going to come after Bob Dylan? Because, like I said, his situation is worse, even on an accusation front, because this girl was just a minor. She was 12 at the time, and he was in his mid-20s, which means he was probably 25. 24, 25, somewhere around that range, no older than 26. He was old enough to be maybe an older brother at best. And this is what he's been accused of. Or will they just sweep this under the rug like they like to do with a lot of other PC entertainers when it comes to something like this? Because this thing is reading just like how the Cosby accusers said about him, minus the physical violence, the drugs, the sexual assault, all of that. The only difference between him and Bill Cosby, well, is a couple of them. One is obvious. Bill Cosby is black. Bob Dylan is white. Bill Cosby was a stand-up comedian and actor. Bob Dylan was a singer and songwriter. But they're around the same age. Imagine that. They said Bob Dylan is 80 now. Bill Cosby is in his 80s. So I think Bill Cosby got Bob Dylan by a couple of years. There's not a huge age gap, but they were definitely born in the same era, that's for sure. But we know what the parallel differences are. Will they actually go after Bob Dylan like they did Bill Cosby? I'm leaning more towards no. In a statement to NBC News, a spokesman for Dylan said the 56-year-old claim is untrue and will be vigorously defended. Daniel Isaacs, one of the attorneys representing JC, responded to a request for comment by saying, "Nothing other than the complaint speaks for itself, and we shall prove our allegations in court of law." The suit doesn't mention potentially corroborating evidence, but claims the girl had just turned 12 when Dylan began, quote-unquote, grooming her. The suit alleges that multiple episodes of abuse occurred at Dylan's apartment at the famed Manhattan landmark Hotel Chelsea in April and May 1965. JC suffered depression, anxiety, disassociation, and other long-lasting effects from the abuse, the suit says. The suit does not specify damages, but says the amount sought exceeds the limits of lower courts. Dylan, who has released more than 36 albums since 1963 and was awarded the Pulitzer Prize in 2008 for his profound impact on American music, released 2 albums in 1965, Bringing It All Back Home and Highway 61 Revisited. Now, like I said, all of this stuff could be alleged. I'm not saying if it is or if it isn't, but the fact of the matter is he has these accusations coming from someone from 1965 when she was 12 years old and said that, he did these things to her. Now, these are just accusations and allegations at this point. Nothing has actually been proven. But my thing is this. When it came to Bill Cosby, those were nothing but accusations and allegations also as well with hearsay. And that got proven with what just recently happened with him about a little over a month ago when they dropped the charges and overturned the conviction because it was a kangaroo court circus of a trial that should not have happened. And his reputation became tarnished almost overnight because of that. Now, will they do the same thing to Bob Dylan, or are they going to say, oh, well, no one really knows who Bob Dylan is and all things of that nature and all things like that? They gonna throw the smoke screen up. It's coming. Just wait for it. But like I said, I highly doubt they're going to go after Bob Dylan in the same tone and in the same vitriol that they went after Bill Cosby. Not by a long shot. And they're going to use every excuse in the book as to why they can't go after him. We know what Tarana Burke says. It's not her job to go after white men. And so far, she's been very consistent with that. Although she kind of recently said a little bit something about Andrew Cuomo, but I think someone had to pull her arm in order to do that. But, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to handle this or not handle this. Me Too, this is your lane right here, I guess. But we know the Me Too heifers, they have a certain agenda. And Bob Dylan is not on the agenda. After all, they had an opportunity to do right by Tara Reid, but because the person she accused of doing what he did to her was running for president, they had to turn the other way. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. One last thing I wanted to add in here. I bet you that if they are going to try to stall out for the Bob Dylan thing, how much you want to bet they're going to bring up something about another black man, or they're going to go revert back to R. Kelly again? That's my take on it, because they love to use R. Kelly as a wrench to throw into the system when they need to give cover to people like this.